Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. It's Jason here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. And today's report is for March the 26th, 2025 until April the 1st, 2025. Don't be a fool. Uh, at any rate, we start with our sun as usual, and the sun is doing sun-like things. It is currently Earth facing and starting to turn out of Earth facing, the largest coronal hole in the satellite era. So that means that there's a big dark spot, and it's the largest uh, square mileage. Anyway, biggest size it's ever been. And the plasma from that, the magnetic lock that is because of that caused a crack in the Earth's magnetic field up in the upper atmospheric stuff and things. And so usually auroras are mostly green. And so there would have been multicolored auroras at the higher altitudes. The actual plasma stream from that should be reaching us sometime this evening. So look for if it comes early. If it comes early, that it could make the auroras come down lower. And the energy that really caused the spike, not just the magnetic clock, but the sun flips magnetic pole shifts all the time, right? So when that does that, the way that the stream of energy comes at us shifts, and sometimes that causes an opening. So that's why it happened. Nothing disturbing about that. So the planet's not ending tomorrow, so don't worry about it. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and so if you watched the show before, we know that coronal holes usually feel more compressed. Also, the energy of the holes usually cause a compression of the tectonic plates on the planet, and so earthquakes are more likely to happen during the coronal hole Earth-facing part of the time. So that's cool. If you are obviously anywhere close to potential earthquakes, then just sort of pay attention that they might be more likely. Not necessarily bigger, but definitely more likely. We are currently in the sun sign of Aries. Aries is sometimes going to cause us to have more mystical, higher dreams, unless you have high doses of cannabis in your system, because sometimes that sort of dampens the ability to remember dreams, but also to see vivid dreams. Sometimes that's the opposite, but in general, sometimes that limits that. Really, Aries in the physical lock is going to be up there around the pituitary gland, and sometimes lights up the third ventricle, which is the same that sort of, when you look at it under scans, has the similarities to horn-like structures that are in the third ventricle, so in between the two hemispheres of the brain. It's mostly fluid in there, but nonetheless, that can be charged up during the Aries season. And of course, Aries is in the higher mind, which is very reminiscent of the Greek mythology of Jason and the Argonauts, where they search for the golden fleece or the ability to control and understand the higher mind. Sometimes that's sort of source mind, right? So you want to think that this thing, when it charges up, sort of gets a higher grasp or receives a message from higher dimensional stuff. So pay attention to sort of just saying, hey, that's weird. Going on in your life during the Aries solar sign. We're currently in Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. And this Venus retrograde has really been sort of challenge us to understand that we are worthy of this love, that we actually have a divinity about us, and any kind of three-dimensional behavior that we may have had in this lifetime or any others is second to our divinity and worthiness of that sort of connection and good things. So pay attention to that sort of energy. Been triggering you of like, hey, am I worth this? And all kinds of things to make you question that. Whether that's old memories or old relationships or the current evolution of certain relationships that you might particularly become aware of that you haven't been doing your fair share. So yeah, thanks Venus being in retrograde. And then Mercury retrograde, travel, communication, become difficult or under examine, right? How are you communicating your divinity out loud? Are you limiting yourself because of doubts of self-worth? all these kinds of things in conjunction with each other. And then, of course, Venus, planet of love, and then Mercury, communication and or um, telling you stuff about yourself. We will have a high tendency to have old relationships or old people, not old people as an age, but old people from our lives, from our past, sort of come back for review, whether that's in actuality, like through actual communications or showing up in your actual 3D life, or just the memory of, hey, why am I thinking about that person? I haven't thought about him in years. And then, of course, if there were difficulty already in it on old terms, there's sometimes a renegotiation of those terms. So anybody who has any kind of contractual obligations to people from their past, maybe those sort of come up for review. So yeah, it's real fun energy to be a part of. Sort of compressed by the energy of the sun. We're in the eclipse doorway, and Venus and Mercury in retrograde. So it's going to get easier this week. It's going to be great. So cool. Let's move right into today, the 26th of March. We are exactly halfway through Mercury retrograde, and really the energy today is to sort of have more confidence in your own inner guidance. And I know on varying degrees of the spiritual path, sometimes you get some guidance and then you're like, is that true? You just want that sort of affirmation, or you want to ask somebody else outside of the self to sort of, um, I guess, confirm what you're sort of understanding. That's fine. That's dandy. But this is really a challenge today, to sort of have confidence that that information is true and sort of act on your own inner guidance rather than being timid or thinking about it or double checking it twice, 3 times with other people. And of course, Mercury retrograde is going to be in retrograde till April the 7th. And with Aries sort of being dominant, obviously, in the solar sign, this is really about the idea that maybe today and or during the course of the retrograde, you've been having experiences of higher communication, right? Whether that is through vivid dreams, dream recall, a bunch of synchronicities, right? There's a higher communication, that there's a greater you at work in guiding your life. And so you might be having some of those things. It might appear as ancestors showing up, passed on loved ones, and maybe even other beings like that. If you sort of follow certain practices, then you might sort of see those spiritual beings be evident, right? Or at least be hinting that they're giving you communication. So that's a good energy to have on a Wednesday. Leads us into tomorrow, Thursday, the 27th of March. And the main energy that's going to be sort of coming through there is Venus in the new moon energy, about to be new moon, about to be super new moon. And really the energy of Thursday is going to be about what Venus and Mercury have shown you is the truth about yourself. And so the energy we're going to be sort of faced with is we have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that have been given to us from outside the self that might convince you to judge what you see when you discover your true self, and the divinity within, and that sort of worthiness of love. And you're really sort of being challenged on Thursdays to not give that a good or a bad connotation. It just is, right? So it's kind of like, if you need to get from point A to point B and you don't want to go because you think your car sucks or it's ugly or somebody else might not like it, but you still need to be at point B. This is sort of challenging, like whether you like it or not, it is you. And so starting to use the instrument which you discover about yourself, of your divinity, of your knowledge, of your ability to sort of guide your own life, then you might want to embrace that on Thursday. It sounds like a weird Thursday, but yeah, that'll be fun for y'all. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna like plan my next video for next week. I'm not gonna do any of this stuff that's available for me. Probably not true. And of course, soul has a way of busting through your resistance, right? So the longer you resist, the stronger the redirection is, right? So you might as well go with the flow and be looking to make these shifts rather than resisting the universe and or your soul, because your soul bends, right? Because your soul's divine and eternal, right? So you can't outlast your soul, so it's going to get you there uh, one way or another. Leads us into Friday the 28th, 2025. The eclipse doorway is closing. It'll be the last day before the super new moon partial solar eclipse. And really, the energy is going to feel kind of frantic on Friday. Sort of think about this like you got a trip on Saturday morning, but you haven't packed yet. So, uh, really, during the eclipse season, the last 4 weeks, it's really about a decluttering, right? What doesn't need to come along into the next expression of yourself? What kind of thing? And you can sort of see this culturally too, right? Like what are we not taking with us to the new whatever, right? And so you sort of see this struggle that's happening on the television of, what's happening, and then you can also see errors in communication and the inability to see divine love at work kind of going on, right? So just all these kind of things are actually going on. And so we're decluttering, like, what are we taking into the next expression of ourselves as an individual, as a planet, as whatever. And so sort of pay attention to that. And really the things that we're leaving behind aren't necessarily bad things, but it's kind of like if we're going to go on a trip and we need to be not checking a big bag, right? What are we going to do to make the travel to the new destination, the transformation into the new us, the easiest to do, right? And so a lot of things aren't necessarily bad, but they aren't helpful for the next evolution, right? So you sort of can think about this when you're traveling in multiple places, and one place is kind of warm, but then you go to a colder climate, and then you're coming back. You don't need to take your winter coat back to the third destination, which is warmer, right? You're like, hey, how am I going to be stealthy and move about? And people who travel a lot know how to pack one bag, right? So this is the same principle of, hey, there's some things that you need to let go about yourself that are going to go into because you're going to a next place, and you want to have just what you need, not what you have to manage or worry about, right? So you don't want to have like 3 bags and wonder how you're going to roll those into the restroom when you're in an airport, right? So just sort of have that kind of understanding about what's going on Friday, and that's going to be that sort of I don't want to say call it anxiety. I don't put that hurt on you, but it's just that energy that you're going to kind of feel on Friday of, hey, this thing's fixing to happen. What do I absolutely need to take with me, and what can I leave behind? Which leads us into Saturday the 29th of 2025. March 29th of 2025. Super new moon, partial solar eclipse. Those on the East Coast might get a show in the morning. Sometimes depending on where you are and how it rises, and you sort of see over the sunset, the way that the moon and the sun sort of cut each other off, it might look like horns. It is not the return of the devil or anything bad. It is just the way it looks at a horizon line when two circles go and align with each other. Yeah, so pay attention to that. The energy is really sort of a blueprint, right? So it's going to shift you into a vibration which is meant to sort of direct you and move you along forward for probably the next 6 months. Some kind of the things you can sort of do to ritualize that, right? And of course, I know the solar eclipse is happening early in the day, but even that evening or the night before, so you can do it Friday night if you feel like it. Any kind of fire pit ritual, right? Light a fire, cast all the stuff that you don't want to take with you into the next part of your life into the fire. You're really sort of giving just sort of a marker to the universe that you hear it and you're ready for the next thing. Not necessarily that you have to do anything specific in the ritual, right? But you're like lighting a fire, burning a candle, sort of saying like, hey, I'm acknowledging there's a shift going on and I'm ready for my highest good. My hair's a little floppy today. Um, yeah, that sounds like fun. Uh, yeah, and so you're really sort of communicating not just to the universe, but also to your own soul that you're willing to walk the path that is laying before you, because you trust in the higher self, the soul, the purpose of being alive. That sounds like a good Saturday. Sunday, March the 30th, 2025, we're at the end of the eclipse doorway is closed. And the highlights about possible pathways, right? So during this last 4 months, we've been letting go a lot of stuff, and we sort of been like having like a couple of choices, like 1, 2, 3 choice, some pathways that have sort of lit up for us that we sort of like, hey, shit, do I want option A, option B, door number 1, door number 2, maybe even door number 3 if you sort of wide open and really ready for a big change, right? It's like that third door, like that didn't make any sense. I don't know how the hell that's going to work, but that's my preferential door, right? This is really the a level of choice is sort of going down, right? So whichever one you've sort of chosen is the one that's going to keep the light on, but the other ones might start to dim. Like the possibilities for the shift into those different things might have to wait the 6 months till we hit the next cycle. Yeah, cool stuff. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, and so then that begins our 2 week post eclipse energy. uh, Post eclipse, you're really just building the new habits of the path you chose, right? If you're going to go that way, do you need to work out? Do you need to change your diet? Do you need to do certain kind of journaling things? Do you need to do certain habits at work? If you're changing work, all the things, right? Is what's sort of going. You're building the habits that are going to keep pushing you forward and develop you into, rather than having to think about it or ask for it, it becomes second nature. Yeah, sounds like a good Sunday. I don't know who wants to work that hard on a Sunday, but some people do. Leads us into Monday, the 31st of March, 2025. The moon will be in Taurus that day, right? So it's the new moon. And really, that's sort of the good energy for the moon to move into Taurus, because Taurus is really about grounding, nice things, physical reality kind of stuff. And the nature of the bull, Taurus, me. The nature of the bull is really reliable, likes nice things, but also once the bull sort of sets its direction, then it's really kind of hard to get it off course, right? It's a big old bull. It's kind of like why they have these sort of things, bull in a china shop, right? You don't want to have breakable things in the way of a bull, because the bull is going to get to its destination one way or another. So you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Yeah, so this is just sort of like paying attention to that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say about that. Oh, yeah. And then there's this other thing, which if you're having a case of the Mondays, it's also cool to just be a lazy bull and sit there. Not sit there. I guess you could lay down, but stand there under a tree and go like, I'm not getting out in the sun. I'm just going to sit here and contemplate where in this field I'm fixing to run next. Fixing to. So Texan. Anywho, moving right along leads us into the last day of the report, which is Tuesday, April the 1st. Don't be a fool. Really a whole bunch of energies going on. Moon and Mars, Moon sextiling Mars, Moon sextiling Saturn. There's some Uranus energy in there too, messing with us. But basically, what's sort of the energy of the day on Tuesday is communication with the opposite sex sort of clears up, right? Things are easy to say. Miscommunication goes away, even in the Mercury retrograde. And this is mostly going to affect work relationships, but it could turn romantic, or it could be part of the romantic stuff. And you really want to think that this is really a positive sort of shift, where the Mars and Taurus energy is really energizing your drive to actually get shit done, to do what you want, right? To be sort of passionate about what you're doing and the work ahead, rather than looking at it as work, looking at it as divine pathway of something that's meant to be of purpose kind of stuff, right? So that's the energy that sort of shifts, right? And then that sort of energy of Saturn is really gonna make you feel the urge to stop doing all this inner contemplation by yourself, and stop being so isolated, right? I know we got really addicted to isolation during the pandemic and this sort of reintegration of whatever. And so this is sort of just a slight shift of maybe you want to be around people. And if you're the kind of person who can plan, not necessarily this guy, then maybe you want to plan like gatherings and stuff like this. The energy is sort of ripe for engaging in the divine feminine, right? So just sort of pay attention to that. And like I said, potential for romance is there. That is the report. I haven't been talking that long. That is the report for the week. Of course, I'll be back here next week, and I appreciate every last one. Like, subscribe, share if you feel the need or the desire to. Just a few words on the shop. I'll be in the shop normal hours, as far as I know. Maybe at the end of April, I'll be out of the shop for a weekend or so. And then, of course, hours around Easter might be a little wonky. I don't know what my Easter plans are yet, so I can't tell the exact dates on when that's going to happen. But I did just receive in the mail last night a shipment of larva kite from Pakistan, and larva kite from Pakistan is pretty cool. Look for some pictures that are going to be here probably Probably by the end of the day, we'll see if I can get those up. Uh, Unpackaging stuff that is well packed and well shipped is always sometimes a slog, depending on how busy I am today. I might get all it through, but just sort of a heads up on what larvacite does. It's usually grounding and protective stone, promoting stability, inner strength, and spiritual growth, while also helping with emotional balance. It's seen as a stone that connects the wearer to the earth's energy, promoting a sense of stability and security. It's a shield against negative energies and promotes inner strength, helping one to ward off negativity and promote overall well being. Also helpful at facilitating personal growth and adapting to change. Oh my goodness, this stone's for now. Uh, it is believed to help calm and stabilize the mind and emotions. Some believe larvacite can enhance intuition and stimulate spiritual growth by promoting a deeper connection with oneself. Oh my goodness, it is a stone for this time. It's like things arrive at the right time because I ordered this several weeks ago, and of course, packing, shipping, paying, all the international stuff kind of goes on. So it's kind of arriving at just the right time. And finally, larvacite helps in dispelling negative energies, which can help promote overall harmony and positive vibrations. Oh, wait, one last little slide. It is said to aid in the understanding complex information and making rational decisions that are not based solely on emotions. That sounds fun. Larvacite is believed to evoke inner strength by stimulating creativity, wisdom, and security in your own intellect. Fun time. Also cancels. That's funny. There's a little witchy stuff at the end, and and larvacite cancels out dark magic and hexes and repels all forms of negative energy. So yeah, that's a cool stuff going on. Of course, I'm gonna move my little notes in my little notebook that I just told you about the stars, and I'm gonna go over here to the button, and I'm gonna wish you many blessings. See you next week.